Did you just find out you're moving to Texas and now you have all kinds of frenzied thoughts running through your head? Maybe you own your house where you are now and you're wondering, how much will it cost to sell? How much will I make when I sell? I mean, that's kind of an important question since you need to know how much you'll have in order to buy, right? Well, listen, I may not know the complexities of selling in your individual state, but I can tell you this. There are always going to be basic costs to selling a house, no matter where you sell. So listen in today, and let's talk about that. Hi everyone, Wendy Pinnell here, your Move to Texas guide. I've been in Texas since 1975 and then a realtor and then a broker for over 13 years now. It's safe to say I know Texas, I know buying, and I know selling. Today, I want to answer this question for you. How much does it cost to sell a house? When we talk about selling a house, closing costs are the one expense most sellers think of first, so let's start there. Your closing costs on average are going to be around 8 to 10% of the sales price of your home. That number can vary quite a lot, so let me break that down for you. Here is an overview of all the closing costs you should prepare for as a seller. Let's talk about the real estate commission first. All right, let's hit that one first because that's probably going to be the biggest fee you'll pay. Now, you may have heard realtors or friends or previous sellers tell you that a real estate commission is always 6%. Let me tell you who hasn't told you that. The National Association of Realtors. Why haven't they told you that? Because real estate commissions are not fixed. There's no standard amount. Each realtor is free to choose what commission they charge, and you can choose to negotiate with them. A common way real estate commissions are paid is when sellers will tell the listing agent to list their home for sale and agree to pay them a certain amount. The listing agent will then typically split that amount with the agent who brings in a buyer. The real estate commission is usually the biggest fee a seller pays. Could be 4%, 5%, 6% of the sales price. It's open-ended and all depends on what the realtor charges and what you negotiate. Keep in mind that the listing agent is going halvesies with the buyer's agent on whatever you pay them. And after that, they're going thirdsies. Like, is that even a word? Okay, thirdsies. They're going thirdsies with Uncle Sam. Yeah, Uncle Sam is going to take 15% in self-employment taxes and another 20 or so percent in income tax, right? Woohoo! Also, if any given realtor is in a brokerage, they're going to have to pay their sponsoring broker. There are homeowners who try to avoid paying commission by listing their home as for sale by owner. We call that FSBO. If you do that, be prepared to assume the duties of a real estate agent. You're going to have to show your home to potential buyers. You're going to have to negotiate. You're going to have to figure out which contract you want to use. You're going to have to figure out which laws your state has, which disclosures they require you to make, and on it goes. According to the National Association of Realtors, just 11% of home sales were FSBO sales in the last year. Okay, so in addition to the real estate commission, what else are you going to pay for at closing? Well, if you could put closing costs in 3 nice little buckets, it would be paying your realtor, paying the title company, and paying for housing stuff. I know you like that housing stuff. I mean, totally sounds legit, right? Well, we already talked about paying your realtor. So how about title company costs? Well, some of these costs may include attorney fees, escrow fees, courier fees, and the title policy. Okay, so what goes into the housing stuff expense? That's going to include things like homeowners association fees, the survey, things like that relate to the house. Don't be surprised, too, if you're asked to foot the bill for some of the buyer's costs, okay? That's something you want to include in there. Now, you may be thinking, wait a minute, Wendy, like the entire United States is a seller's market right now. It is, that's true, it is. But the reason I bring this up is that often during the option period, the buyer will find this and that repair that needs to be completed, and they'll either ask you to fix it or they'll ask you to throw a little money at it, which means now you're putting a little money to the buyer at closing. Make sense? You may be like, yeah, I don't want to fix that. Let me just give you a little bit of money. And that's how that one comes into play. Okay. Let's talk about one more wild card in your closing costs, property taxes. Remember earlier when I said closing costs can vary quite a lot? Well, property taxes are a big part of that. You will owe property taxes up until the day you sell your home. And this is going to show as a closing costs. If it's in January, wow, awesome, you don't owe very much at all. If it's in December, you're going to owe for almost a whole year's worth of property taxes, and that will show up as a closing cost expense. Like if your property taxes are $10,000 a year and you close in December, you're going to see that as a deduction from your profit. Now listen up, because what I'm about to tell you is very important. Are you listening? Are you sure you're listening? Some of my sellers own their houses free and clear, no mortgage. Some of my sellers have a mortgage on their home, but it's non-escrowed. And some of my sellers have a mortgage on their home that is escrowed. Now, why in the heck am I bringing that up? Well, this is important to know. If your home is escrowed, it means your monthly payment to your mortgage company includes your property taxes. If you don't have a mortgage company or your mortgage is not escrowed, then obviously it doesn't. No matter which bracket you fall under, you're going to pay property taxes at closing, period. However, the beautiful part of the escrowed mortgage is that about a month or so after closing, your mortgage company is going to send you a happy little check for all the property taxes you paid them throughout the year. I mean, after all, why should you have to pay your property taxes twice? Every month you've been paying them to your mortgage company and then again at closing? So with escrowed loans, you're still going to pay property taxes as a closing cost, but the mortgage company is going to pay you back for everything you paid them for the property taxes. Now do you see why the property tax wildcard can make such a difference in your closing costs? Okay, let me give you a real world example. We sold a rental property in November of last year. Now, obviously, we didn't pay a listing agent because, we owned the home and we were the sellers. But if we had, our closing costs would have been well over 10% because our loan was non-escrowed and property taxes were paid at closing. Okay, make this easy on you, right? You ready? Look at it this way. Closing costs equal paying your realtor plus paying the title company plus paying house stuff, plus paying property taxes. But remember, if your property taxes are included in your mortgage payment, you're going to get those back after closing, right? Happy day, great thing to find in the mailbox. Okay, so we've covered closing costs when you sell your home. But there are a few other costs that come into play. How about paying off your mortgage? Oh yeah, there is that little part, isn't there? Your mortgage payoff will include the principal balance, that's whatever you still owe on the loan, plus any interest you owe for that month. Okay, so now truly we have covered all of your closing costs, right? But that wasn't our original question, was it? What we originally asked was, how much does it cost to sell a house? So there are a few more expenses we need to talk about. Home repairs. If you're thinking about selling your home, it's likely there are things you could do to enhance the appeal and potentially raise your home's value. If you've been putting off sprucing up the outside or painting the inside, now is the time to make those changes. Getting your home ready to sell could be as little as some minor cosmetic work, or it could be as big as like replacing all the flooring in the house. So definitely some expenses involved there. Now, I know I mentioned this earlier, but if the buyer's home inspector finds problems like a damaged roof or bad plumbing, you may have to pay to fix those issues in order to close the deal. So you might pay that through cash to the buyer at closing, or you may have to go ahead and do those repairs now. Big repairs can set you back in a big way, so be prepared for them before you decide to sell, especially if you expect problems will be revealed during a home inspection. Okay. Another how much does it cost to sell a house expense is utilities. If you plan on moving out before you sell your home, you need to keep the water, the gas, the electricity, you need to keep it on. A home without air conditioning and heat and lighting can be horrible to show. Plus, you need to have the utilities on when the home is inspected. Okay, one final cost we have to contend with. Capital gains tax. Remember when I mentioned that we sold a property last year? Well, we didn't live in that home, so we had to be sure and calculate capital gains tax as an expense related to selling it. Sometimes you'll owe capital gains tax and sometimes you won't. Variables include whether you live there, how long you've lived there, and how long you haven't lived there. You'll need to do your own research on this one because clearly my name tag is realtor and not accountant. Thank goodness. Whew. But seriously, do some research and ask an accountant. Capital gains tax can be a pretty big deal. Don't assume you won't owe it. So there you go. I think we've covered it. You have costs before you sell. You have costs at closing. And you may have costs after closing with the capital gains tax. Make sense? Listen, if you know you're moving to Texas soon and selling is a part of that equation, give me a holler. I can walk you through the complexities of buying and selling at the same time. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to visit my channel, hit that subscribe button, click on that little bell. You don't want to miss out on all the fun. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.